Welcome, everybody. I have to re-record this because unfortunately, the last time I did this, it didn't save the file. So I wanted just to record it since I'm already here. So we're talking. We're gonna talk about home buying, and today we're going to have a guest speaker, but he had a family emergency, so he is not able to be here with us. But we're going to take the time to still go ahead and talk about how you can buy a home. So I don't know if you are aware about the different programs that exist, but there are government programs that can either be local, federal, or they can also be from private companies or from faith-based religious affiliation, or they can also programs, and there also can be nonprofits that might be able to offer these programs for down payment assistance. So for all of them, you have to qualify. Okay. So again, welcome to this webinar, blancaprofessionalservices.com. And as a disclaimer, as always, I like to tell you that we are recording these webinars as part of the educational programs, and everything is content is based for education. We're trying to share and bring people that have knowledge in different fields, so they can bring that information to you that you can use for advancement for your family. So as always, we recommend that you always talk or speak to your financial advisor, your CPA, your tax preparer, or anybody who is on your advisory team. That could be anyone who you trust, or anybody that you're already working or have a working relationship with that person, and that person is your insurance agent or some other person in your team. Okay, so by saying that, now I'm gonna go share my screen. I'm gonna show you how we're gonna talk about down payment assistance programs. And I know AJ was going to talk about FHA loans and Cal FHA loans. I'm going to touch a little bit about that because, as you know, I'm not a home mortgage lender. So I am a real estate agent and also a financial planner. So saying that, I can help you buy and sell your home. I can help you buy investment property in real estate, and I can also help you with your financial services. If you are trying to buy life insurance, or you're trying to have somebody to draft for you or write a financial plan for you, I can do that for you. I also do business plans for small business owners that need that to be done. I can also help them do that. So just contact me 1-800-637-5833, or you can also email me bfunes@blancaprofessionalservice.com. That's my email, so you can send me an email and we can be in contact that way. Okay, or you can also follow us on social media: LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and Nextdoor. I also have a Nextdoor page just in case. And I also have Linktree, and soon we're gonna have something in Pinterest for those people that follow in Pinterest. Okay, so now with that being said, I want to touch a little bit about FHA loans and what are those. Like I said, I'm not a lender, so you will have to contact a lender, and the lender will have to tell you specifically about the programs and all that kind of stuff. But from my own personal use, from my own personal experience, I have used FHA loans when I started, buying my first town home back in the day. I was still a college student, and I bought a town home, and I started. I didn't have a lot of money, and you can picture yourself. Okay, I was a student in college. Okay, I was working full time and going to school full time at night. Okay, so then I didn't have a lot of money because I wasn't making a lot of money. I don't know. I can't even remember. I think my first year and my first job, I make at least $16,000. Okay, that was my annual income, when I was in college. So as you can figure out, $16,000 was not that much money. Okay, so my mom um, told me we need to find out how we can purchase a home. We've been renting for so many years, and you know, we should consider buying a home. And I was maybe thinking the same way that you might be thinking. Oh, I don't have a lot of money. I don't think we can afford that. And all of this and stuff in your brain, right? So but she kept on insisting, right? And remember, I was also um, starting in my real estate career at that time. I had been a new agent recently. I had passed my real estate license, and I started working for brokerage, and I was still learning. Okay, out of college, and I was still learning. And so I didn't have a lot of money, so I remember that one of my one of the agents in the same brokerage that I was working, she had a property that was listed for sale, and it happened to be the townhome, right? And I look at that, and I asked her, how much is that townhome? And she said, let's say 150,000 or 200,000. I don't even remember now. Okay, but now then I said, well, she said, do you like it? And I said, yeah, I like it, but I don't have the money. I don't think I can buy it. And she said, well, would you like to do an open house for it? She was a good seller, huh? So she said, well, if you start making some money in real estate, maybe you might be able to buy it. And she said, why don't do you want to do the open house? And I said, okay, I'll do the open house. So then, we did the open house, and to be honest with you, nobody came to see it. And it wasn't because the home was ugly or because the home was not in a nice place. It wasn't like really beautiful, the community, but it wasn't like a bad community at all. Okay. So the community have their issues, they have some problems, but the area seemed to be okay. Okay, so then we did the open house. I did it, I think 2 days or 3 days, and nobody came. But little did I know that my mom had prayed. I don't know if you know my mom, but my mom is a preacher. Okay, so my mom prayed, and she said, God, you know that we need a home to live. You know that what are our needs. And I don't know, how we can afford this home, but if it's in your purpose, okay? If it's in God's purpose, if it's in your will, make a way for us to be able to be able to get approved, or when if we show the interest and that we want to buy it, maybe there is a way that we can buy it. Maybe you can use people to help us to be able to do that. Okay, and that was the prayer, but I didn't know that. She didn't say anything to me. She just prayed. So when we went to the open house, she prayed inside the townhome, and she said, I don't know, maybe if nobody came to the open house was because God intends this to be our home. And that was her faith. Okay, so I was like, Mom, you know that I cannot afford it. Yeah, so I have this negativity in my brain, right? So but then I said, well, Mom, let's talk to the agent who's selling the home, and let's see if we can put together something. Maybe we'll be able to afford it. And so when we went back to the office, we I told the agent, I did the open house, nobody came. We stay until 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, whatever that was the time. And she said, well, we're gonna make another open house, but if you like, why don't you start the process to see if you can buy it? And I said, well, I don't really have the money. I like to. And she said, well, I think you should. Why don't you call so and so? And she gave me a number for a lender. And, then I called the lender and I said, I work with this brokerage and I work with this agent, and I was doing an open house for her, and she said I should contact you because I'm interested in buying the property, but I don't know if I qualify. And that's what I did. Okay. So just picture yourself, okay, not having any money and then doing that. Okay. But I did. And that was based because my mom was a believer. Okay. She thought this we could buy this home. She prayed that God make a way for us. And I think that was an answer prayer, because when I called the lender, he said, yeah, well, what are you doing? What are you working on? Do you have any income taxes? And I said, yeah, I just started doing real estate. I haven't sold anything. Was just doing the open house for this other agent, and I just happened to like the townhome, and I don't know if I could buy it. And then he asked me all my financial information and personal information. I provided to him, faxed the information over, fax my income taxes. At that time you still needed to fax that. Okay, nowadays you can take pictures, or you can email it, scan it, and do PDF and send it over. But at that time, we still did the faxes. Okay. And of course, I'm not that old, but for some, the new generations might not know that that existed. Okay, so then it turned out that he said, well, yeah, I think we can do it, and then he said, why don't you, he said, okay, do you have a list for the down payment assistance? And I said, well, how much money will I need for the down payment? And he said, well, you wanna need like 10,000 or 12,000, around that, plus the closing fees, right? So that was like maybe another 5,000. So let's pretend that it was $15,000. So he said, do you have anything saved? And I said, well, in the work where I work right now as a full timer, because I haven't quit my job yet because I'm new to the real estate business at that time. Then he said, oh, so do you have a 401k, or do you have any savings at all? And I said, yeah, I have a 403b plan because I used to work for the government. So I said, I have a 403b plan. And he said, why don't you give them a call and then see if you can borrow some money from there? And that's exactly what I did. So I call and say, I am trying to buy a home. This will be a first time home for me and my family. And I said, I need to borrow at least $15,000, but I would like to borrow 20,000 just in case, because you never know, something could go wrong and you need extra money. So I didn't want to be tied up. So they said, okay, you can borrow against that, and they provided me with the forms and all the things that I needed to fill out. I, got the forms, fill out the forms, and then, I have to make a phone call, and they have to tell me the disclosure, like, okay, you're borrowing against your 403b plan, you understand that this was for retirement purposes, so on and so forth, blah blah. And then, keep going until they said, do you agree with this loan and that you're going to pay interest on this loan back to you? And I said yes. And then they disclose, yeah, for it will be 4%, 5%, whatever that you're gonna have to pay back, just like any kind of loan. And I said okay. And then they said, for how long do you want this loan? 5-year period. I think the max was 5-year period. And I said, for the longest that I can borrow it, just in case. So right. So then, the next thing I know, I get this check, from my 403b plan, government plan, and it has $20,000. It's not addressed to myself because that's not the way you have to do it. It has to be addressed to the escrow company, because that's the money that you're gonna put in for the down payment and the closing costs. Okay, so then that was the check was directed to the escrow company, and to buy this particular home. So now, I have the lender, I have the down payment, and now, I was able to buy this home. So we continue on the process, and finally we bought this townhome, and that's how I personally and my family started, in obtaining our first home in the United States. Okay, so that's my story. So that's why I'm sharing with you, and I use an FHA loan because FHA loan only require 3.5 to 5% for them to give you a loan. So that means 95% of the loan will come from the bank, and 5% will come from you if you're using 5%. Okay, so why do they require at least 3.5 or 5% from your own money? Because the banks want you to own that house. So if you don't put any money, it will be easier for you to walk out of the deal. It will be easy to abandon the home because you don't care because you didn't put any money, you didn't put any effort, you didn't make this home part of yourself. And that's the reason why they require you to put some kind of money down. So now that we spoke about that, that's what how FHA's loans can help you afford a home that you might think is out of your way, that you might not qualify, but at the same time, you never know. So my first advice to you is always talk to the home lender, any home lender, or you have a preferred lender, or if you don't have one, then give me a call or email me, and I'll provide you with a list of home lenders that I work with, and they can help you buy this home. Okay, or at least to get you pre-approved for the buying the home. Okay, so then the second thing I will say is trust that if something is going to happen in your favor, it's going to happen because it's either God's plan. If you believe in God, God has made a way already for you. It might use somebody to help you. It could be, maybe let's say that I might not have qualified by myself, but maybe I could have a cousin or an auntie or somebody that I could cover, and I could probably make this a reality. Okay, so you always have to have options in your mind. Who can I call? Who can help me? Who can I trust? And who that person can also, the same way that I am gonna trust this person, they're gonna trust me. Why are they gonna trust me? Because I'm gonna use their income taxes, and I'm gonna use their social security number, and I'm gonna use their savings accounts. Because the statements, of course, I'm not saying that you're gonna actually physically use that, but what I'm saying is because the lender is gonna ask for the same documents that they ask from you. So if they ask from you to have your financials, your W-2s, your income taxes, your paychecks, and all that, they're gonna ask the same thing from your co-borrower. So that's why they call it a co-borrower, because that person is also responsible for that loan. Okay, so if you don't pay it, the other person is on the boat, and then they have to continue on paying. That's why you have to make sure they trust you and you trust them, because this is an investment that you're gonna do for you, for your family. And if you need help with somebody else helping you, then you have to think about also if you do something wrong, you're gonna affect that other family. Okay, so, and that's not the way that you want to do it. Okay, so that's just to keep that in perspective. And now that I told you that, so in my website, if you go www.blancaprofessionalservices.com, I have page there, a tab that says, let me show you, let me share my screen right now.